Hi everyone, it's Stephanie here with the video for My Favorite Things. In today's video, I'm going to be using some products from the new November 2016 release, and we're going to create a fun little Starry window card. So I've went ahead and prepared my elements. We're going to be using the new Starry Circle Dynamics die. We're also going to be using the new Playful Pup stamp set and coordinating dynamics, and you can see here I've already went ahead and colored and die cut my little pup, and he is sleeping with an adorable little puppy with him, and I just love that image. And then I've also cut out a piece of pattern paper and a strip of copper cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and start to work on this card. So I have a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch top folding card base, and I also have a white cardstock panel that fits perfectly on that card base, but it is trimmed down a little bit, so it's a little more narrow than the actual card base. And the purpose of that is that we're going to put some of that striped pattern paper and that copper sparkle strip on the side of the card, just to kind of add a little bit more detail to the card front. So first thing we want to do is create the starry window. So what I'm doing is I'm laying the panel onto my card base, and I'm opening the card so that I don't cut through the back, but I do want to cut through the panel and the card base together. And this is just going to make sure that my window perfectly lines up on both the card base and the card panel that we're going to put on top. And then I also have the little star area cut out twice since we ran it through together. And I'm just going to remove the top piece off of there since that's the only part we need. And I'm going to add some distress inks to this to kind of make it look like a starry night sky. When I do a night sky, I like to start off with Broken China Distress Ink. It's just a nice light aqua type blue that just kind of shines through and gives some highlight areas to the sky, especially because we're using darker colors. And then I go in with some chipped sapphire and add a lot of that to the whole panel, but you can still see that Broken China kind of shining through. And then I add a little bit of black soot just on the edges just to really define it and make it look like night. And now I want to adhere this to the card, but I wanted to make sure that it lines up perfectly with the window that we've die cut in the front. So I added some liquid glue to the back of it just because it has a lot of hole area in it from all the star and the circle openings. And then I just closed the card base and set the starry circle inside and then adhered it right on there. And that perfectly adhered it on the inside of the card and lined it up perfectly with the window. Next, we're going to add the strip of pattern paper to the left-hand side of the card base. So I just went ahead and used my tape runner to add some adhesive to that and adhered it on. And then I'm just using my scissors to cut off the excess so that it completely lines up with the top and bottom of the card. And now we're going to adhere some acetate. So I just have this acetate and I cut it down so it would fit perfectly over the window opening, but wasn't too big that it would kind of go over the side of the card. And I just used my tape runner to add adhesive right around that window area, and I'm just adhering the acetate piece right on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same adhesive and add it completely to the back of this panel that we've cut out, and I'm going to adhere this over top. Now we know it's going to line up perfectly since we cut everything out together, so I'm just going to line it up with the top right corner, and it will perfectly fit over the opening that we've already created, and it will go perfectly over that striped pattern paper piece and leave just enough to add a little bit of detail to the left-hand side of the card. Now I always like to add a little strip of something in between the stripe piece and the solid panel. So what I did is I cut a strip of the copper sparkle cardstock and I'm adding that right beside the white cardstock panel. I just love the look of having that little bit of sparkle kind of there, and it helps to separate the panel from the stripe piece. So now I'm going to go ahead and adhere the puppy image. So I want to position him so he's kind of overlapping the window area. I kind of want it to look like it's a window to the outside and you can see the starry night sky behind him. But I knew that when I added him on there, you'd be able to see the back area of that die cut piece, which has the marker and the adhesive. So I decided to cut out the exact same shape again, just out of white cardstock. And I'm just adhering that directly over top. And that's just going to kind of help to cover up that adhesive that's showing through the window, but it's going to just kind of blend perfectly with the inside of the card. And now I have this adorable little image that has this great window area, and that acetate really helps to give that puppy image something to kind of adhere onto so that it's not just an opening in the card front. Now for the sentiment, I decided to stamp it in 2 rows versus 1. So I cut it apart with my scissors, which you can definitely do with clear stamps. You don't have to worry. You can definitely put them back together and reuse them as they were intended, but it just allows you a little bit more freedom with how you stamp things. And the way the card front was, I had more room to be able to stamp it in 2 rows versus trying to stamp it in 1 solid row. And then for the inside, I decided I wanted to stamp a secondary sentiment, and I wanted it to kind of be the shape of the circle in the starry window. So what I like to do to achieve that is I took the die cut piece and I laid it on my acrylic block, and then I took my stamp and kind of just maneuvered it around that circle area and stuck it to the block as I went. And now when I put this in my ink and stamp this into the card I'll be able to perfectly line it up around the outside area of that circle. So it's just a fun way to add a little bit more interest to your stamping, and because we used the die cut to arrange the stamp on the block, it fit perfectly around that starry circle. And then to finish off today's card, I just added a few sequins for a little bit of extra detail, and that is going to complete our starry window scene. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate you being here, and I will see you in the next one.